It's time for a funeral. There'll be eulogies, there'll be emotions, there'll be protests. It's an incredible feat of filmmaking that with each new episode, Succession manages to dig deep into my psyche and draw out different poignant emotions. One week I'll be angry and absolutely loathing the Roy children with a passion. Well, last week specifically. I guess with hindsight, it's just most weeks. Regardless, this week I felt an astounding amount of sympathy for these poor kids. Even as the game of power trudges on into a final brother-sister showdown. I mean, who could have seen this coming? Pat thought this was another truly exceptional episode of Succession! For the last 3 weeks at least, I've come away from an episode of Succession feeling like we'd hit another season peak in one manner or another. There's yet to be an episode this season that doesn't have a moment that truly showcases some of the best television storytelling and performances of all time. I've got no idea how I'm even going to begin breaking down this behemoth of an episode. I suppose let's start with the episode-stealing performance of Kieran Culkin as Roman Roy. The episode starts once again like episode 6, with the trappings of something big to come. Specifically around Roman the showman to light up the sky. As the audience were waiting for the penny to drop, will Roman have a big, massive blowout like Kendall in prior seasons? Or will he have a grand, insane speech that places him in a prime position heading into the finale? What we got was something real, once again. The show knows how to play its moments big and sweeping, yet it's the manner in which it chooses to play its big moments quietly and sincerely that leaves such a lasting impression.
Is he in there?
Yeah.
Can we get him out?
Roman's funeral breakdown is devastating. Like episode 3, there aren't funny quips, there isn't action or dramatic action. It's just a poor boy breaking down because his dad is now in a box. We, the audience, are trapped there because on some level, we understand grief, we understand stuttering, we understand failing in front of a crowd, yet trying to push on with the speech but being physically unable to the point that you shamefully walk off stage. Forget the elevated backdrop of the 1% or the President of the United States being present. That isn't what makes this show work. What makes it work is that these are real human emotions. And we understand that, even when we despise the people on screen. Roman pretty much opts out for the rest of the episode, withdrawn and hurt. Appropriately, I'll say, it is his dad's funeral. It isn't until the very end that Roman finds a call to action. There's an irony to the fact that Roman can't grasp that these protesters don't understand what he's feeling.
Piece of shit. No fucking idea. No idea.
Why they can't just leave him be. Especially as in the past, Roman is the first to disregard and mock the feelings of others, regardless of how severe their emotional trauma is. The nihilism on display is like he wants to be this figure, like the jokester, but the reality is, no one recognizes him, and someone even tries to help him get up. It's even more poignant as another reading of the scene is that he's waiting for the Logan-esque punishment and abuse. He's trying to fill that absence by barreling head first into a protest with the hope of being abused. In the end, Roman disappears into the crowd in what feels like the end of the road to his significant time on Succession. Kendall floats, Shiv fights, Roman fades away. One final point. In Roman's big breakdown, he wants to get Logan back, get him out of his coffin. However, here at the end of the episode, Logan's back, baby, as Kendall pulls some abusive Logan tactics on his younger brother. If in many ways this episode felt like a final bow for the character of Roman, for Kendall, it was a war cry. Kendall feels like he's losing his children and doesn't understand how his behavior is the cause. Thus, Kendall plays it like he plays the game of power, like his father taught him.
It's fine, you let Dad take us and it was probably best.
Gave him custody so you could keep your shares and I could protect your interests. You chose.
Lock Rava out, get a lawyer, ruin his children like Logan ruined him.
I'm gonna go to court to get an emergency court order to stop you leaving the city.
Kendall in many ways is much better at playing the Heartless game of power, however, still can't view any conflict past the idea that it's a personal, emotional attack on him. Weirdly, in contrast to Logan, who pretty much always managed to play the cold business angle, when Jess tries to politely resign, he starts bullying her to get her to stay, much like what he did to Rava. Yet, as we head towards the end of the episode, Kendall radiates a cold confidence that he commands Hugo, his new dog, with.
Woof, woof.
He brings Colin, the security guard, over to his side. He spirals Roman out of his place with little empathy. This isn't to neglect that once again, Kendall gets up on a high-risk stage and kills it. Jeremy Strong's performance of the speech, which Kendall is mostly improvising, is fantastic. Another brilliant moment for Kendall, one that links emotion and agenda to deliver success.
A terrible force to him, and a fierce ambition that could push you to the side. But it was only that human thing. The will to be and to be seen and to do.
If Kendall couldn't relate a little bit of the reality of Logan into his booming praise, it wouldn't work. Kendall is right. Logan's fierce ambition and pure determination of will brought to life his vision for the world, one of power and money. Logan made his children who they are. Kendall frames this as mostly good. However, Ewan's speech rings far truer, and Kendall misses the harsh reality. What Logan's force brought onto this world isn't for the better of humanity, and it especially isn't for the better of his children. Kendall truly is marching towards winning Succession, at the cost of everything that matters. Kendall is losing his family, ostracizing his siblings, bullying his underlings, and disregarding his own humanity. Shiv places herself as the biggest opponent to Kendall winning. Having brought Matsson and Mencken to her side, we're due for an explosive finale. We're reminded just how awful the Roy children's mother is as a dangerous precedent for Shiv's own incoming child.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna see it. I'm just gonna do the family way.
Oh, right. No, that'll work fine. If you don't see it, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, they don't grow up emotionally stunted, do they?
I think there's a particularly poignant moment with Shiv after Ewan and Kendall's speeches where she brings herself to the stage to almost lament her father's memory. It feels like an afterthought, even if it's sincere, a desperate attempt to justify and convince herself that her father accepted her. We know better. Logan was hardly even hiding his misogyny. Appropriately, so does Shiv. That's why just a few scenes later, Shiv can't help but ask Frank and Carl just how bad was her father, already knowing the answer. Finally, Shiv starts properly playing the game, pushing Matsson to do what she wants and convincing Mencken to join up. She's even keeping the father of her child within arm's reach, the one and only Tom motherfucking Wambsgans. A busy day at ATN for Tom results in very little screen time for us. It's hard to say that the finale for Tom looks like anything other than a total fucking disaster.
If it wasn't such a total fucking disaster, it would be a dream come true.
But who knows? There's a little moment between Shiv and good old tired Tom that brings a little bit of hope and compassion. What it'll mean in the final episode, we'll have to wait and see. Perhaps this is Shiv rallying Tom to her side for the final showdown. Once again, I question what role Tom and Greg have to play. If they are the overlooked underdogs who help win the day, or just some sad human characters at the outskirts of power. Greg's response to Ewan's speech as a good hard take on Logan was a fantastic laugh in what was a tense, silent moment.
It's a good hard take that you gave.
Okay, let's finish this up. A perfect place to conclude this week's review is with Ewan of all people. Ewan's speech is perfect. It distinctly lacks deceit. It is harsh, cold, and true. Roman's proposed speech, Kendall's monologue, and Shiv's lament are Logan-esque in the utility of their words. It is to help grieve, and there's certainly reality in their thoughts. Kendall's is at times a booming response to Ewan. Shiv's is nearly an afterthought to help convince herself that deep down, Logan cared for her, adored her. Ewan's is quite simply the truth. It gently clicks all the thematic pieces of the show together to give us an answer for why we've been watching. Because, yes, it is fun to watch the backstabbing, the drama, and the funny quips. However, Succession goes so much deeper than that. We've watched these sad little children run around for seasons, experienced their ups and downs, explored through Logan's actions as to what made them so hollow.
He broke my heart, and he broke your hearts too.
The environment that created these people. Here, in the second last episode of the show, Ewan is able to flat out reflect on part of what made Logan, Logan. The world and hardships he grew up in, the will that he sustained to win, the will that he inflicted on the world in all its awfulness. And yet, here in this episode, the world is pushing back, irritated, protesting what Logan forced upon it. Logan is but a legacy of the people who raised him. Succession is a television show about what is Logan's legacy. As Ewan declares in season 2, Logan is not responsible for his upbringing and the hardships of his childhood.
All those years blaming yourself for Rose?
I'm not interested.
That really wasn't your fault.
But Logan is responsible for his empire of poison.
This though? This is your fault. This empire of shit.
The Roy children are not responsible for their upbringing from the monster that is their father. But they are responsible for what they do now, who they help elect, the games of power they choose to play, and the impact they have on their children. Just like Logan is responsible for his own children's forever broken hearts.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe.
5 mil? Good deal.